Republican lawmakers should be gathering behind closed doors as we speak to select their candidate for Speaker of the House. Among the two declared candidates, Representative Steve Scalise from Louisiana and Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio. There is no clear frontrunner right now. According to a report from Punchbowl News, Jordan wouldn't commit to backing Scalise if he were to win the Speaker nomination, while Scalise says he would vote for Jordan if the situation were reversed. We could be headed for a long voting process. And here to give his insights is Andrew Desiderio, who is the Punchbowl News senior congressional reporter here. Andrew, okay, just another day in D.C., but at the end of the day, this is one unlike any other where we're watching a party and ultimately some of the largest leaders or most kind of boisterous and loud leaders in their party try to get this speakership. Is there a front runner right now?
Well, to your point at the outset, no, there is no clear front runner right now. And what Republicans are trying to avoid is that sort of embarrassing scenario we saw on the House floor back in January when they were first trying to elect a speaker, where they had to go through 15 rounds of voting just to get to Kevin McCarthy eventually in the end. What they're trying to do now is decide on a candidate behind closed doors, see if someone can get a majority and make sure that everyone else would fall in line behind that person on the floor so that they don't have to go through multiple rounds of voting on the floor. The goal is to just go through one round, have enough Republicans voting for this person, and sort of move on to the business of legislating.
Andrew, is there a risk here? And I guess what are the chances that neither Jordan nor Scalise are able to get the votes that they need? And we could be talking about a potential lawmaker that has not been in the cards yet.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility here. Congressman Patrick McHenry, Republican from North Carolina, is currently the acting Speaker pro tem, which is not a permanent position by any means for him. However, he is someone who could be looked at to be a permanent speaker, at least in the short term, while Republicans figure out who their speaker is going to be for the rest of this Congress. McHenry is very well respected on both sides of the political aisle, frankly. And he has allies in both the more conservative wings of the Republican Party as well as the moderates. But he has said he doesn't want the job. But again, to your point, if neither Jordan nor Scalise can lock up the votes and we're at a stalemate here, people might look to Patrick McHenry or someone like him who has that sort of stature within the Republican Party, within the House of Representatives, of course, too, to temporarily lead the House.
What are Democrats doing in the meantime here, Andrew? I mean, when we think about what's taking place to try and find the next speaker from the party that holds the most seats, at the same time, Democrats had voted once before to make sure that they could at least put a speaker in place prior to that because they were just saying, okay, let's just all get behind this one person. So what are they doing kind of on the side of this?
Right. So last night, House Democrats unanimously nominated Hakeem Jeffries to be their candidate for Speaker. No surprise, obviously, he's the Democratic leader. He's the House Minority Leader. What Jeffries has been pitching some of the more traditional Republicans on is this idea of a bipartisan governing coalition, whereby some of them would vote for Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker to give him the requisite votes. And then in exchange, those Republicans might get some powerful committee positions, leadership positions, or other concessions. Right now, that's looking exceedingly unlikely. But again, anything could happen here. And as we go on and, Republicans, if they're still at a stalemate over this, I think it's a possibility that you'll see Hakeem Jeffries and his leadership team reaching out to some of the more moderate Republicans within the GOP conference to try to form some sort of governing coalition, especially if there becomes a more urgent need for Congress to do something, for example, related to Israel. The members of the House just got a classified briefing this morning from top administration officials about the needs that Israel is going to have in the coming weeks and months from the United States. And while there is no imminent request for assistance from Congress, the administration made it clear that such a package will be necessary at some point. And if, God forbid, we're still locked in the speaker fight over the next few weeks, that might be a solution that some people are looking toward, especially if there's an urgent legislative need on something like Israel, which has broad bipartisan support.
Andrew, digging a little bit deeper into that, just in terms of what can be done, what cannot be done if we still don't have a speaker when it comes to giving aid to Israel. Any insight there? Because there has been lots of talk that maybe there is a way around it to be able to get Israel more aid, even without a speaker being named yet?
Well, the administration has a lot of existing authorities they can use to transfer some weapons and other equipment over to Israel. They've already done that so far this week. I believe the president said yesterday that the first tranche of U.S. weapons has already arrived in Israel. But eventually those authorities are going to expire. The president has access to what's called Presidential Drawdown Authority, which allows him to basically draw from existing U.S. stockpiles of weapons and give them to other allied nations. The problem is that is at a certain cap in terms of a dollar value. And once you run into that cap, then Congress needs to authorize more. And without a speaker, it's very hard to do that. There's been talk maybe of passing some sort of symbolic resolution in support of Israel this week, even without a speaker. But to be frank with you, I'm not even sure that something like that could pass muster with the House rules, given that it is technically legislation. And if you don't have a speaker, the business of the House must be on electing a speaker, nothing else.
Okay. And so what are the key dates, timelines here that we should be keeping an eye on, Andrew?
Well, look, Republicans are going to try today to settle on someone for speaker and then go to the floor as soon as tomorrow. That is, I guess, the best case scenario we're looking at right now. Worst case scenario is we're looking at something that lasts multiple days, multiple weeks, and Republicans are in complete disarray and unable to coalesce behind a speaker. I think it'll be really telling over the next few hours in terms of who can get a majority of the vote, and then whether the people who voted for the person who lost will then just fall in line and vote for the person who won on the floor. And as of right now, that is not a guarantee.
All right, well, we will be watching Andrew Desiderio, Punchbowl News, apologies there, Punchbowl News senior congressional reporter. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thanks.